All right. Okay. Greetings, greetings. Assalamu alaikum. Shalom, shalom. Jah Rastafari. Greetings, dear beloved brothers and sisters, and everyone who is currently tuning in to another episode of the Image a Nation show. This is your brother Leo Muhammad. Sitting next to me is our beloved Sister Claudia Muhammad.
Assalamu alaikum, family.
That's our sister in the house. And once again, dear family, listeners, viewers, it is an absolute pleasure, honor, privilege to have an opportunity once again to come to you wherever you are able to tune in to this episode of the Image a Nation show. I feel very honored and privileged to have the opportunity to come to you and to share with you some of these wonderful, wonderful life-giving teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, trying to make it accessible to all who would care to listen and all who desire to make a change in their lives for the better. This is the objective, this is the aim, this is the purpose of the Image a Nation show. And we have been going now for several weeks, and we're very, very happy, as I keep saying, to really be able to have this wonderful opportunity to share with you. So don't forget, family, we want you to like, we want you to hit that like button. We want you to subscribe. We want you to, make this a staple for you each and every week, starting at 6:30 on the dot on a Thursday evening. And we want you to let us know where you are tuned in from, where in the world you are, because it's very, very interesting, to be able to see our brothers and sisters all over the planet tuning in to the Image a Nation show. I get very, very excited before each of these shows because I know what a wonderful opportunity it is to share and to communicate with people who desire something different from the mainstream madness that we're all subjected to at the present time. I'm just about wearing my jacket. I really didn't want to because it's very hot. We're having one of the 4 days of summer that we get each year in the United Kingdom. And it's very hot. I've got a little fan here. I hope you can't hear it. I hope it's not interfering with the sound. If there is any problem, please indicate in the chat. But brothers and sisters, really without further ado, I want to welcome you to episode 40 of the Image a Nation show. And this week it is entitled The Three Missing Sciences. The Three Missing Sciences. This is the title of our program this week. This is what we want to look at because, again, what's important is that even though many of us have reached adulthood, many of us are up in age, many of us have been to some of the highest schools of learning in this world. And some of us really believe that we know and have answers. And I'm sure some of us do have answers to some of the many problems that plagues humanity, but in particular, that plagues the Black community, plagues the Black nation today. Nonetheless, there are things, dear family, that many of us don't know. There are things that we need to know and that only a divine man of God could teach us. What do I mean by that? A man who has been taught directly from the face, from the mouth of God. And when I say that, I know some people will begin to frown because, of course, we've been taught all our lives that God is a spook, okay? That God is a spirit. You can't see God. You can't deal with God like that. Yet, again, many of us say that, had we been around in the days of Moses, we would have been walking with Moses. We would have believed in Moses. We say, had we been around in the time of Muhammad, peace be upon him, we would have followed Muhammad. We would have been walking with him. We would have believed him when he told us that he received a message in a cave from Almighty God Allah. Any of us today in 2022 will claim that had we been around 2,000 years ago, we would have been walking with Jesus. Yeah, but you see, that's easy to say, man, because none of these people are here today. All right. And yeah, we can talk about this spookified God all we want. But the reality, dear beloved family, is that all of those prophets that I've mentioned, all of them had that communication with Almighty God Allah. And those few who believed in them in those days, they were they were a unique set of people, because the vast majority did not believe, just like the vast majority today do not believe. But I'm here to tell you, dear family, that a man came in 1930 to North America. His name is Master Farad Muhammad. Master Farad Muhammad. And this man is the predicted God in person, the predicted coming of one who comes from the east, even onto the west. So says the scripture in the Bible. As the lightning shineth out of the east onto the west, also shall be the coming of the Son of Man. He's the son of a man, yet he is God. And we believe, dear beloved family, and we want to share with you what he searched among Black people in North America until he found a Black man who had the right heart, the right spirit, the right countenance, the right fortitude of mind, heart, and spirit to take on a heavyweight mission. And this man that he found is the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And he taught this man face to face for nearly 3.5 years, night and day. And then he went away just as mysteriously as he appeared. He went away and left this man with this awesome, awesome mission to raise a people up from literally a dead condition, a horizontal prone position that the people had been placed in, having been subject to 400 years of enslavement and destruction, reduced to the level of the beast of the fields. And this man set about that work, set about that mission. It is this man, dear beloved family, who coined the phrase, the so-called Negro. Because up to that point, we were known as Negroes. And some of us, again, who think we know, think that Negro has got something to do with Africa, or something to do with Black people, or something to do with some ancient cultural name that we coined. No, dear family, Negro is taken from a Latin root. In other words, it's European origin. Negro taken from the Latin root necro, which means something dead or neutral. And the social scientists of that day who named us and called us Negroes knew exactly what they were doing. They're saying that we have made a people dead, neutral, neither going forward nor backward, just stagnant. This is what was done to us, dear family. And this man, Elijah Muhammad, man, he did a magnificent job. It is him who began this talk about Black being beautiful, Black being powerful. This is where all of your Black power movements came from. This is where Malcolm X came from the teachings of the most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Some of you talk about Malcolm X like he got up one day and just put an X on his name. No, 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 no. There was a man going around giving X's. His name is Elijah Muhammad. This is where you got Muhammad Ali from, who was Cassius Clay, 2 Roman white names. But when the Honorable Elijah Muhammad looked at this brother and saw what this brother was doing in the arena of boxing, he renamed him Muhammad Ali and made him the most famous human being on planet Earth. Oh man, I hope you're listening, dear family. This is the man who revolutionized the Black Revolution struggle. This is the man who gave us the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. This man, without whom Brother Leo Muhammad wouldn't be sitting here today having anything constructive to say. This is the man who has taught me all that I'm trying to share with you. I'm like a regurgitation machine, attempting to regurgitate, attempting to recite something that was told to me, something that I heard, and something which was so powerful that it went into my very being and saturated my DNA and caused me to begin to make a change in my life, a change which is not yet complete, but a change and a journey which I'm continuing on, my dear family. But I can't wait until I reach the end before I share with you. And so this is the purpose of the Image and Nation show. Your brother wants to share with you some of these teachings and to explain to you that there are things that we need to know if we are to be able to solve some of our problems. And once we know the cause of the problem, then we can effectively address that cause and then ultimately produce solutions that would allow us to move beyond that problem to the next problem and overcome that problem, so that each time we continue to grow, develop, and become the awesome people that we were born to be in the first place. And so once again, welcome to the Image and Nation show entitled The Three Missing Sciences. This is what we are dealing with this evening. Dear beloved family, in the Nation of Islam, we are taught that as a people, we have lost three sciences. We were robbed of the knowledge. Now we have forgotten having been robbed, and we no longer practice these sciences. This is to our collective detriment to become powerful and successful again. We must regain all three scientific practices. I hope that makes sense. See, because if you've been robbed of it, you know, after a while, when something is missing, when it's out of your life, you can end up forgetting it. And then, of course, if you've forgotten it, then, you know, I hear people talking about, oh, I'm a Christian, but I'm not practicing. Or I'm a Muslim, I'm not practicing. Well, guess what? If you're not practicing the thing, man, you're going to soon lose it. The law says use it or lose it. And so this is the reality, my dear beloved family. We have lost these things, and because we're not practicing these things, then of course these things are no longer available to us. And so to become powerful and successful again, we must regain all three scientific practices. I said scientific, I didn't say emotional. We're far too emotional as a people, dear family. And I'm telling you, man, it doesn't matter, as wicked as this world is, we can become as emotional as we want. No justice, no peace. No justice, no peace. We can burn things, okay? We can go and get some guns. We can get machetes. We can get emotional, man, and we can do some stuff if we want. But guess what? None of it is actually going to change our reality and our condition. What's needed now is a scientific approach, a mathematical approach, a cold approach, okay, whereby we look at things based on the logic of the thing, and then we can begin to transform and to change that thing based on mathematical scientific application. I hope you're following me, my dear beloved family. The first science is the science of mating. Oh, really? You thought it was just meet the girl at the bus stop, and that night we're in bed together, and then we accidentally have a baby, right? Well, in reality, that's how it often happens in a world like this. There's nothing scientific about it. It's lots of accidental babies and lots of accidental relationships where people make assumptions that, you know, we're together now because we've slept together, or we're together now because we live in the same neighborhood and we see each other from time to time and we say hi, and then, you know, we're together, we're going out together, we are dating, to use this language that they use in this world. No, my dear beloved family, there's science that needs to be applied to mating. 2, the science of finance. Oh my God. You know, isn't it amazing how you see some people, they're just constantly able to make money, and money seems to be attracted to them, while other people are constantly struggling to make ends meet and can hardly find the way or means to accumulate finances to be able to live their lives in a world where they say money makes the world go around. Well, believe it or not, dear family, some people are applying a scientific method toward their money making and their finances. There is a science to it, and it's something, again, that we have to regain and we have to understand. Something as basic and simple as the ability to pool resources. Something as simple as a collective, a group of people coming together. And I know somebody in the chat for weeks has been trying to engage with me around that principle of collective finances. And believe me, to the brother or sister who's been reaching out like that, you know, what you're trying to do is awesome. And there are lots of Black people now who understand the necessity of pooling resources and doing these things for ourselves. And then number 3, the science of warfare. My God, my dear family, did you know that we as a people are actually at war? And even though we're at war, the vast majority of us in this war, we are non-combatants in the war. What do you mean non-combatants? We are civilians in the war. Do you know the people who die the most in military conflicts? It's civilians. The people who are casual, don't understand the idea of militancy, don't understand the idea of uniformity and literally soldiering in order to combat and defend and fight back against an enemy. Such people who are casual become casualties. There's a relationship between those 2 words. And so we have to understand how we have to behave once we understand that we are indeed at war. And we've been at war for a long time. Do you know that when we were captured on the mother continent of Africa, that we were taken as prisoners of war? Prisoners of war. War was declared on Africa. This is real. It wasn't just some little enterprise. Some people stumbled across some African people and decided to take them as enslaved people. No, sir, no, sister. This was something that was systematically, mathematically planned and executed. It was warfare. That's why they had weapons. That's why they had guns. That's why they had special chains designed to enslave, to capture, to hold. That's why the ships were designed in the way they were, with those holes and those, what would you call those areas? Those I mean, I can't think of the word, but it's like, they literally had us like sardines, side by side, stacked.
Like cargo.
Yeah, we were cargo, but literally worse than that, it was specific little areas that were designed to take one body at a time, and we were packed in, okay, to the point where near the bow of the ship in that area where it was less room and smaller, they would put the children in those spaces. You know, but that's the point. It was by design. That's my point. They weren't being emotional, okay? They knew exactly what they were doing. They knew the value of the cargo they were carrying. They knew that if they could get us back to the so-called New World, man, they were going to make an absolute fortune. They were going to make a mint out of the use of these seemingly indestructible people. And that's why when they were killing us on those plantations, killing us in those killing fields, that's why they didn't have no compunction about doing that, because they knew that we were survivors. They knew that we were a people who, despite such genocide, that we could actually take that type of brutality, take that type of killing, and still continue to survive. And then even worse than that, imagine you are brutalizing and slaughtering a people on the scale that we were brutalized and slaughtered during our enslavement, but they could still recognize in us as a people that we were artisans, that we were craftsmen, that we were engineers. So they used us to build their major capital cities. Washington, D.C. and places like this were mapped out by so-called slaves. Enslaved Black people designed and built all of these places, dear family. This is real. And at the same time, the slave master would take his little white baby and put that baby on the breast of the Black woman, because he knew she wasn't no savage. You ain't putting your baby on the breast of a savage, but you're putting your baby on the breast of a woman who you know contained within that vessel is absolute, the energy of God, because you knew that you had stolen the people of God. And you knew that if your child fed on that milk, that was the milk of life. That was the nurturing of life. And imagine a woman like that who witnesses every day the brutality that she witnessed, yet she could still have the compassion, have the heart to raise that child, have the compassion, have the heart to take care of Missy, the white woman in the big house. My God, do you know who you are, Black man and Black woman? I mean, I wish I could just spend time and talk on these things some more, but let's move into these three sciences. Not that we can go straight into it in truth, because even just to deal with this subject matter, there are other things that we have to deal with. The loss of these three sciences presents us with real trials that affect every aspect of our lives. I just want to really emphasize that. We're not talking about these three sciences because they're something that can just be put on the side. We're talking about them because they're essential that we understand how they affect every aspect of our life, to such an extent that it makes the Black nation look inferior to the brown, yellow, and white nations of the earth who have kept and used these sciences as fundamental to their own growth and development. The science of mating, the science of finance, and the science of warfare have been kept and used by the brown, the yellow, and the white. Yesterday, I was blessed to be on a show with Sister Shanice, the Sister Shanice show, and it was entitled Message to the Black Man, and we were talking about these things. And, you know, dear family, what really struck me was the fact that we don't appreciate how other people utilize that which you and I have always known, but have now been robbed of and forgotten and no longer practice. But other people utilize these things that we now think belong to somebody else. Yesterday we talked about the fact that today Black people think that marriage is a white man's concept. The idea of a black man and a black woman uniting and being one under God, that this is ordained and sanctioned by God. We now think that this is some white man's concoction. My God, we've really fallen, dear family. This was instituted billions of years ago, long before the white man was even a thought on our planet. The black family has been in existence. The black community, the black nation, man. And now we've thrown it away. We now think it belongs to somebody else. Finance, even money. I grew up as a young boy with this notion in my head that I picked up from somewhere, that money is the root of all evil. But money isn't the root of all evil, dear family. If you take that money and you purchase an incubator for a prematurely born child, is that evil or is that good? If you're taking that money and you're constructing affordable housing for members of the human family to be able to live and thrive on our planet, is that evil? No, that's good. But then if you take that money and you go and buy yourself an AK-47 and go and blow away a whole bunch of innocent people in the street, of course that's evil, but it's not the money. The money is neutral, man. It's what you put it to. It's what you use it for. But I grew up with that thought and that mentality, which was not some accident. That was what was instilled in order to throw us off from the acquiring and the accumulation of material. See? To the point where some of us as Black people, we would literally write songs. I've got plenty of nothing and nothing's plenty for me. Imagine celebrating having nothing. And what's the new mantra that they're trying to put into the heads of the people now with this great reset that they're planning? You will have nothing and you'll be happy. My God. Did you know that that term that says God helps the child who has his own is critically important? I mean, I just haven't got the time, dear family. But other people have kept these sciences, that's the point. And they're using them, and we now think that some of these principles, some of these concepts and ideas belong to other people. We think that because the white man is such a bloodthirsty, diabolical killer, that war in any aspect is something that we must shun, because, you know, fighting is just so terrible. No, 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 dear family. Did you know that there's such a thing as righteous anger? Do you know that we have a God who will destroy people for their evil? And that some people actually deserve to die based on their evil? Not going out and killing people to steal their land or steal their property or to rape and pillage and do those evil things. No, we agree, man. That's evil. That's something to be shunned. That's something to be completely and utterly rejected. But what happens when somebody comes to kill your entire family? Do you think that God is going to frown on you for defending yourself, for taking retributional action, for fighting back? No, beloved brothers and sisters. There's a time to fight, okay? And we fight in self-defense. Very, very important that we appreciate this. In the Nation of Islam, we're taught never to be the aggressor, never to be the aggressor. But we fight with those who fight with us. That's the qualification there, man. You don't turn the other cheek. You don't lay down and let somebody just beat on you continuously and you don't do nothing about it. We're just being punked all of our lives by people thinking that they can just kill us and we have got no right to retaliate. No, dear family, an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth and a life for a life. That's the principle that's found in the scriptures, man. I hope we're getting it right. I hope we're understanding that their warfare is to be practiced even by the righteous, given the correct and right circumstances. That's the point. My brothers and sisters, where are you this evening? Where are you observing from? Let us know in the chat. Let us know how you're feeling. Let us know if you are following what we're sharing, and if you can identify with the principles contained within that which we are sharing with you. Dear beloved family, the list of the myriad ways the loss of knowledge and use of these three sciences impact us literally run into the thousands of ill effects made manifest socially, politically, and economically, and in other more subtle ways, such as spiritual, psychological, emotional, and mental, leaving us unable to compete with those employing the sciences to their advantage and for their own benefit. You know, it took me a little while to concoct that whole statement because I'm really trying to say something, and I don't know if you followed it, but I'm going to go through it again. The list of the myriad ways the loss of the knowledge and use of these three sciences impacts us literally runs into the thousands of ill effects made manifest socially, politically, and economically, and in other more subtle ways, such as spiritual, psychological, emotional, and mental, leaving us unable to compete with those employing the sciences to their advantage and for their own benefit. For the purpose of today's program, we will only list or highlight a few of the most obvious manifestations of our non-use of the three sciences. Does that make sense, brothers and sisters? I'm saying there's thousands of things that we could talk about and highlight contained within these three sciences, but we're not going to go there. We're only going to highlight a few things. And then what I always say to the Imagination family is we need to start to study. We need to start doing our own research. We need to start proving things for ourselves. And whether you really appreciate this or not, every single one of these shows that we do is a call to action. Every one, not one is rhetorical, just there for the sake of conjecture. Everything that we do on the Imagination show is designed to say, brother, sister, it is now time for action. But we don't want you to ever do mindless action. We want you to employ thinking. We want you to look into what we share, and we want you to prove it for yourself, and then we want you to act. Very, very important, dear family, because action speaks louder with words, not without words. We need the words. The words are important. In the beginning was the word, okay? We need the words. Words, see, what separates us between the lower animals, the beasts of the fields, are words, man. Words. Human beings, we are able to communicate on another level, thought, word, and deed. And so never leave out the word, but then the word must be made flesh. In other words, we have to begin to walk that word and make that word our bond. Beloved family, to the best of my knowledge, I do not believe that Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad or the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan have ever given us a hierarchy of which of the three sciences is the most important. But from my own personal perspective, I think the science of mating comes out on top simply because without the man and woman, there is no finance and there is no warfare. Okay, this is my reasoning. All right. I believe that the science of mating comes out on top as the most important one when you think about what the man and the woman represents, what that subject matter of mating represents. This will be our focus. Agree or disagree? Maybe you might want to let me know your view in the chat. Go ahead, sister.
Yes, I was going to say that's why it was so key that Minister Louis Farrakhan did the lecture on how to give birth to a God.
That's right.
It's so important that when you're pregnant.
Just talk about that a little bit though, Claudia. Explain a little bit more about that, you know, how to give birth to a God.
God, isn't it?
Imagine a concept like that.
That you're actually carrying a God as a woman. You know, how important your environment is, how you think, what you watch, what you eat, everything goes into this child that you're making. And this is, it's such a beautiful thing, what we've been given by Minister Louis Farrakhan. We cannot thank Allah enough because women just are not taught this. And that's the point. They don't want to teach us this because they know this is the key to everything. Once the woman is educated and then passes that down through the child, you know, imagine a child could know who they are, what they're supposed to be at the age of 6.
At the age of 6. How beautiful.
They can speak, they're supposed to be able to speak 4 languages.
Wow.
You know, different languages at the age of 4. You can teach the children that.
Come on,
they
man.
can take so much in, but we put them in these schools
that
waste their time.
Teach that.
They're bored at school. They like to say, oh, our children are troubled. No, they're bored at school.
Bored,
because
beloved.
they're gods.
Yes.
You see, so that is so important. You know, to try and listen to those lectures that the minister did on how to give birth to a God.
So picking up on that, what Sister Claudia has just shared with us, remember, these lectures are available, okay? Right. I'm sure you can go on YouTube and find How to Give Birth to a God by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. Look, you know, let me just bear witness. Like, for instance, one of our beautiful brothers in the Nation of Islam, you know, he told me something, and I've witnessed it for myself because I've seen his children. But you imagine, he's not musical, you know, obviously as a Black person, he grew up listening to reggae music and other music or whatever, but he's not musical in the sense that he never played an instrument, whatever, and nor did his wife or whatever, but they got married as members of the Nation of Islam. And all through her pregnancies, she just, for whatever reason, she decided to just listen to classical music. All forms of classical music. Now, all of their 3 children are playing one classical instrument or another. Do you think that's coincident or accident? See, we don't appreciate what goes on in that womb.
That's right.
When that child is growing in the womb, beloved.
How important it is.
What you're feeding on goes into that baby, into that womb.
That's right. And the minister teaches when you're pregnant and you're in a relationship, and how the man, how he's supposed to speak to that woman, because however he speaks to her, you know, sometimes the woman is not brave enough to say how she really feels. That child will come out. Sometimes the child wonders why it can't talk to its father properly, because it hears everything that goes on in that relationship during that 9 months. So it's so important.
Wow.
Isn't it? The science of being pregnant.
Yes.
It's key.
It's awesome. It's awesome. I hope you're getting this, beloved family. And like I said, agree or disagree with this concept that we're laying out today. Maybe you might want to let us know your view in the chat. We would be happy to hear from you. In the meantime, Imagination promoting and advertising goods and services for the benefit of our community. Please take note of the following and support their family. Visit www.natureshairproducts.co.uk and try the moisturizing hair and scalp oil, as well as beard oil and other natural hair products. Try this for yourself, dear family. Use natural things on your hair, on your scalp, on your face. It is the best way to keep yourself healthy and fresh and looking good. The Tribe, visit the Tribe at www.tribenation2019.com and pick up a garment, pick up an item of clothing that you can wear to show that you are one of those wide awake Black people, conscious and ready to do battle with our enemy. Also visit www.p2bb.uk or londonstudygroup19.org and order your Proud to be Black t-shirts, caps and mugs, and say it like you mean it, P2BB. In other words, proud to be Black. Brothers and sisters, I hope you are proud to be Black. And also, I saw an old Caucasian friend of mine the other day, and I was wearing my Proud to be Black cap, and he got so excited. He said he wants his Proud to be Black t-shirt, so I'm going to get one to him. Because even if you're white, you can wear your Proud to be Black to show, just like some of you like to say Black Lives Matter, will show and tell the world that proud to be Black, because in the end, you all come from us anyway. We are your mothers and fathers. Can you see my Proud to be Black cup here, drinking mug? Just having a cup of coffee. And so pick up your Proud to be Black mugs and t-shirts and caps and wear it with pride, dear family. Nia's Bean Pies. Visit Instagram at Nia's Bean Pies or call 07956 127975. That's 07956 127975. You can get bean pies delivered to your door. It is a sweet that's healthy all at the same time. It is one of the staple foods eaten by the members of the Nation of Islam. It makes us strong and powerful. The beans that we use to make the haricot, to make the bean pie, is the haricot bean, and it is absolutely powerful. And you should again check it out and begin to put these beans into your diet, dear family. Very, very important. Okay, so let us continue.
Sorry,
Go ahead.
There was just a comment. Thank you, True Religion, for your comment. I hope it didn't come across that I was saying that the fathers are negative, but I was just saying when a woman is pregnant, she wants to reproduce her husband. That's when she really wants to be close to her man. And I was just saying that the husbands have to be careful how they treat the woman while she is pregnant, because everything goes into that child. So I wasn't saying that the fathers are negative or anything like that. That's life. We have our ups and downs, but you know, I wasn't saying that they're negative, just to clarify that.
Yes, beautiful, beautiful. But you know, I do hope that the point is taken, dear family. We never knew. Most of us did some crazy things in ignorance when our wives were pregnant. But now that we know better, anything that happens around that sister, around that woman while she's pregnant, goes directly into that unborn child. This is what's important to appreciate and to bear in mind and to remember. It's like, for instance, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan sent us in the Nation of Islam to the Church of Scientology to learn a science called Dianetics, to learn what's called the modern science of the mind, which is called Dianetics, which is a system that can be used, a technology that can be used to alleviate some of the problems that we've accumulated over a lifetime of trauma, either physical or emotional trauma that sometimes we carry around with us. And as a result of what has happened to us, it makes us behave irrationally today. But we have a science now, a technology that can help to remove a lot of these, what's called engrams, impediments to our optimum health and make us better people. But one of the things that we learned in Dianetics, for instance, is, for instance, when somebody is injured or knocked out or in a situation where they've suffered an accident or whatever, that you have to be very, very careful what you say around that injured, unconscious, or knocked out person, because believe it or not, their subconscious mind is taking in everything. It's like it has a photographic memory, and everything that is said is being recorded. Everything that's done is being recorded. So you imagine you're on the operating theater, you're being operated on by a surgeon, and the team of surgeons around you, they're having a conversation and they're talking some madness about, you know, some golf game that they played and something, nothing to do with you, but whatever they're talking about, the unconscious person on the operating theater, it's going into them. It's being recorded in their subconscious. These are things we never knew.
That's right.
But now that we know, we can do better. That's the point I'm trying to make. So the next time somebody's injured around you, the less noise, the less exclamations of horror and whatever that we say, because all of these things are being recorded by the subconscious mind. And literally the subconscious mind doesn't know anything about subtlety, it just takes everything literal.
Just records.
Yeah, it just records literally. And so whatever, and then that becomes like, that can become like a command in your later life. My God.
That's right. So thank you very much, True Religion, for your point. And yes, we love you too, wherever you are based.
Praise God. And I need you to tell me where some people are based, if people posted that. But let us quickly move into this next phase. Let us be honest and think about how the vast majority of our relationships are so hit and miss. I just want us to think about that. Think about your own personal relationship as we're talking now. Could be your current relationship, or it could be some past relationship. Let us be honest and think about how the vast majority of our relationships are so hit and miss. How many of us who are now mature adults are still in a relationship with our childhood sweethearts? That's a question. And how many of us would love to say, I found the love of my life and we are still together? I just want us to think. Most of us have been so battered and bruised by our many past relationships that we have become cynical towards such ideas of long-lasting love and devotion to one person. It's not a lot of people you can talk to about things like that now, you know. People look at you sideways like, that's a pipe dream, man. That's Hollywood. I mean, there ain't no relationships like that no more. People almost now, I think, get married with divorce papers in their back pocket. They're kind of expecting that, okay, it might last a year, a couple of years, whatever, but then I'll be moving on. Especially these Hollywood types, right. They seems like wife swapping, like they go from one to the other. Yeah. I mean, it's some crazy stuff, man. But I just want us to think about our own personal, interpersonal relationships, especially between the male and the females. Most of us have been so battered and bruised by our many past relationships that we have become cynical towards such ideas of long-lasting love and devotion to one person. Many of us no longer see the need for long-term commitment and the establishment of strong family units, community, and ultimately a powerful nation. Many of us just don't think about such things, dear family. Don't forget, we're talking about the science of mating. And this is why, again, the things that I'm saying that we don't do are the things that we must do. If we want to become a successful, powerful, highly respected people again, loved by God. These are the things that we have negated, put to the side, thrown away, that we have to begin to embrace again and stop thinking that these things are for white people or for other people and they're not for black people. These things have been concocted by other people, hence why, oh, we just reject them. No, dear family, we were the instigators and the institutors of these principles many, many, many years ago, long before any of these other people were even in existence. I hope you're following, dear family. This is really, really important and critical to our understanding. It is a real shame that we think test tubes and beakers are scientific and the union of a man and woman should be left to fate or mere chance. This is that, I mean, imagine when we talk about science,
That's right.
We're thinking about test tubes and,
Yeah.
you know, somebody in a laboratory or something like that. And we don't think that chemistry and science has got anything to do with a proper relationship.
Right. With us, isn't it?
Yeah,
With us. We
yeah.
are science.
Yeah, or say what you're saying, anything to do with us as a people.
Us as a people, that we are science, is how we think. Science and maths, that is us. We say, oh, I don't like maths, I don't like science, but that's us.
We are maths, exactly. We are science.
That's right. And it's so key. You know, I bear witness to Minister Louis Farrakhan. If it wasn't for the teaching, the minister saved my life. I'd be dead, because what he teaches as for males and females, how to relate to each other, how you keep God at the center. Who's teaching us that today? No,
there isn't. There is no teaching like that, you see. And this is the problem. This is, you know, I kind of imagine that for some of our people hearing this type of talk, it's like maybe because they've been steeped in the church or some other philosophy. Some people, oh, man, they don't want to hear it. Oh man. But you see, dear family, no one really teaches it the way the Nation of Islam teaches it. It's not about religion as such. It's not about dogma, but it's very much about you, your nature, your character. As Sister Claudia said, we're science. Just the fact, I mean, I don't know how many of you know what your blood group is, you know, but imagine you have a blood group. See, that's not some accidental thing. If you're O positive or O negative or AB or whatever your blood, see, that's because you can classify that blood.
That's right.
That's science. It's just for us to reason together and think about these things and understand that some people are compatible and some people are not, but you have to be able to take a scientific approach to these things. How many of us know about courting, courtship, and how important that is to be able to determine whether or not you and that other person are actually going to be compatible?
That's right.
How important it is for you to know about the other family that you are marrying into, and how important it is to take your time in getting into a relationship and not rush to the bed.
That's right. And how important it is to be honest, isn't it? To tell the truth.
I spoke to a sister a long time ago and talking to her about the courtship. And I said, you know, you have to tell each other everything about each other before. And she said, well, Brother Leo, I would never tell about myself. And I thought, well, what kind of relationship do you think you're going to have? Because you see, it's horrible when you're into this full-blown relationship and then you start discovering stuff about the person you're with, and
they
you
don't want children.
You know, exactly. Imagine you've married, you want children, then it turns out your wife doesn't want children, or your husband doesn't want children, but you just assumed, because you never bothered to ask basic questions and make a determination about whether or not you're both going in the same direction, you both have the same desires or outlook. It doesn't mean that you're going to be 100% like that in congruency and agreement,
Yes.
but nonetheless, you do want, if you're going to say out of 100, how much of a percentage you want to be in, to have compatibility with the person that you are choosing to marry. I would venture to say you need to be at least 80%.
Yeah.
You need to be, if it's 50-50, I would say don't go there.
Yeah.
You know, you
Not
need
enough.
to you need to be weighing really on that side with some things that you need to grow into and things that can be changed and modified as time goes on, and you can grow in more in love. But my God, to go into a relationship when it's the opposite, where maybe 20% is in agreement with the other person and 80% is in disagreement, you know, because some people's relationship is literally like cat and dog.
Yeah.
And it's like we just bring out the worst in one another. People literally hate one another, yet they're sleeping together.
That's why it's a courtship. You take the person to court.
Say it louder, sis.
That's why it's called courtship. You take the person to court.
Yeah, how many people know that?
You cross-examine them.
Yeah, it's you have to, in courtship, it's a compound word, right? Court and ship. Because one, you have to take them to court. And as Sister Claudia said, you have to hear their evidence in chief. That's, you know, where they got to tell you about themselves and the family, and you got to meet the family, and you got to hear evidence from the family, and so on and so forth. Then you have to have the courage to cross-examine them. You see, if you watch,
don't be afraid,
no, but that's the point.
Yes.
If you watch a court case, man, do you know what it's like to be cross-examined? Do you know that oftentimes people who are being cross-examined break down?
Yes.
Sometimes the truth comes out on the cross-examination. Sometimes, you know, they get angry or whatever. Sometimes there's tears.
That's right.
But if you're not prepared to go through this process of courtship, and why is it a ship? Because it's a voyage of discovery. You know, in America in particular, I know one of the preliminary stages of any court case is called discovery, where, you know, the prosecution has to tell the defense, you know, what they've discovered, what evidence they have, what they're going to be relying on in the case before the case can go forward. So I just hope, dear family, that we are following this, that we're getting this, because as I said, this is, and by the way, this subject matter is such a big one. It's huge. I mean, we spent 7 weeks on the wheel above top secret. We could spend another 7. We're not going to do that, but we could easily. When it comes to Black male female relationships, oh my God, we could spend a lot of time. I'm just trying to adjust my thing here because I'm getting some stuff popping out. But okay, so dear family, let us move on. What we're saying is that the relationship between a man and a woman makes the scientific test tube and beaker experiments child's play. There is no science greater than the science of the relationship between a man and a woman. That is real science. And it takes a lot of searching, digging, experimenting in order to really determine the chemistry between two people and whether or not those people have the right character to build a relationship that is not short-term, that is not some quick adventure, but long-term. That's why in the marriage ceremony, you have such words as for better or for worse, in sickness and in health, for richer, for poorer, till death us do part. See, and imagine saying such words, but really having no, taking away the meaning from such pledges, where we're just saying the words, but we really don't mean it. That's sad, man. Imagine if we could make our word bond and really genuinely attempt to live up to those words. We're dealing with the science of mating, dear brothers and sisters. As ancient and original people, mating has always been a high scientific practice, but having fallen under the influence of the newcomers to our planet, we have adopted their ways. See, I don't know how much you've studied ancient history, how much we've studied even the religious books, but what you'll find is, again, marriage was always a staple of the original people of the Black world. We took these things very, very seriously, and there were different types of marriages. There were political marriages. Did you know that we would do political marriages, in that we would marry into a particular group, because politically that meant that those two groups would then be united, not just families now, you see, but clans or tribes or things of that nature. This is, you know, very, very strategic, mathematical, scientific planning, that people would marry depending on the stature of the man or the stature of the woman, because they wanted to produce a particular type of child. Even this man, the Son of Man, the God in person, Master Farad Muhammad, his father, when he determined that he wanted to have a child who would be that long-awaited savior, who would go and find the lost sheep, who would go and search for the people who were taken into bondage for 400 years and destroyed as a human reality. Master Farad Muhammad had to employ science in that process. He had to go and find a particular type of woman who he could marry and then impregnate with his seed in order to produce a child with a particular complexion. Because in those days, no jet black man could go into the Black community and teach what this child, what this man would be teaching once he became of age and he goes among these people. He had to look a certain way to be attractive to our people who were suffering from self-hatred and a lack of respect for Black. And so he had to come in a particular complexion. The scripture says it like this: he came in sinful flesh to condemn sin in the flesh. My God. Oh, brothers and sisters, if we really understood. He went and found a woman in the Caucasus Mountains, and then he had to operate on that woman. He had to do things with that woman to clean her up, to make her fit to bear the particular kind of child that he wanted to produce. And the first time they tried, they got a girl, and he said, oops, I got to try again, because he wanted a son. It had to be a boy child who had to do this work. It had to be a man to go among the people who had enslaved the original people in order to locate the people, and then in order to bring them up out of that shallow grave of death and ignorance. All science, dear family, not emotion, science. I don't know if you can see the images on the screen, but again, you see, we were kings and queens, man, going back into ancient times, into millennia, into such history that you can't even recount. We go back so far. And those relationships were not accidental relationships. These were, see, imagine we have now in this world an aversion to the idea of an arranged marriage. All of the marriages between the kings and the queens and those royal entities that were all black were arranged.
That's what Mr. P said, arranged marriage.
Arranged, man. Imagine if your marriage is not arranged. What is it then? If it's not been arranged. See, we think of arranged marriages based on the Sun newspaper and the Mirror and the tabloid press, where you got some crazy Pakistani father who is marrying off his daughter to some strange man that she's never seen ever before, or whoever, you know, Arabs who force their children. No, that's not. That's an abomination. When we talk about arranged marriages, we're talking about, first and foremost, a community of people who are like-minded, people who love God, people who love family, people who love community, love nation, love progression, and we are building together. We are on a trajectory towards success. And then I give birth to a daughter and you give birth to a son. And at a certain point in time, we as the parents, we get together and we say, Johnny seems to be, not Johnny, let's use the proper, let's use Assad. Assad seems to be getting on very well with Aisha. They look, you know, and we know each other already. The families know one another. And so we encourage Aisha and Assad to come together, and we supervise that courtship. We don't allow them to just go off by themselves in some private arrangement where they go and jump into a bed somewhere. And by the way, let me tell you why sex before marriage is not a good idea. It is because the act of sex is such a powerful thing, dear family, that sex engages all of our emotions, and in particular, the female. You know, I have to confess that as brothers, as men, many of us as men, we can engage in the sex act without a great deal of emotion. We can. This is true. Sisters, you may not know this, but I'm just going to let you know the truth. We don't have to, our whole being doesn't have to be involved in the process. For some of us, it can just be quite mechanical. But for the sister, for the woman, she has to open herself to receive a man. And it's a whole different reality where her whole being gets involved in that process, psychologically, emotionally, physically, in all the ways. And what happens is that once you become emotionally involved on that level of physical sexual activity, it clouds your vision. Once sex becomes a part of that process, you can no longer see or think straight. It's no longer going to be mathematical. It's no longer going to be scientific. It is now tinged with the emotion of the act that you've just engaged in. It is that powerful. So you can't just do that and think that it's not going to affect your decision making. It is much more important to refrain from that activity and to allow that man to get to know your mind, get to know who you are, and vice versa. You got to get to know one another and seek compatibility outside of the bedroom or behind the shed or wherever the act takes place, dear family. Because once that act takes place, it changes everything. This is, again, something we never knew. We never knew. We thought that, oh, this is just something that you can just do and it's no big deal. And then, no. And we thought, oh, it's because you got these fuddy-duddy people and they don't want me to have my fun. So they're just interfering. No. It's science, man. It's science. It's not about trying to spoil your fun or interfering in your privacy. Why shouldn't you have a private relationship? Do you know how many people enter into private relationships and then they get killed by the psychopath that they're in the relationship with, and nobody knows what happened? And she couldn't reach out to nobody because this is between her and him. And he knew that. He knew that her dad wasn't involved in the process. Her mom wasn't involved in the process. None of her family members was involved in the process. So he was abusing her and doing whatever he wanted to do. But what would happen if you brought him first to your father, first to your family? And the father had the opportunity, before you have made any commitment to this man, before you've jumped into any bed with this man, the father has the opportunity to ask him some pertinent questions. Like, what do you have in store for my daughter? How do you intend to take care of her? What's your job? I mean, these are really important things, dear family. And once we skip over these things, man, anything can happen. But if you've got your family engaged in the process, who can supervise the process and make sure that each step, no gradient is skipped, that each step is supervised so that it's the right outcome. My God, you're building a foundation of strength for your relationship. But nowadays, nah, man, none of that. This is private. This is my life. And then we wonder why we end up with these babies all by ourselves, end up with, some great career. We got nice job, we got nice car, nice apartment, whatever, no man, no woman in our life, or whatever the case may be, no children, whatever. There's so many scenarios. Dear family.
Okay, before you say,
Go
our
ahead.
sister Zarina has asked, so what happened? Why we lost our King and Queen Glory?
Yeah, we lost it, my dear sister Zarina. Why we lost our King and Queen Glory is because on September the 11th, 2001, they said that the Twin Towers came down. But in reality, the Twin Towers came down in the year 1555, when that white man by the name of John Hawkins came to Africa on a ship named Jesus and began abducting Black people and taking them out of Africa into bondage and enslavement. The Twin Towers, the real Twin Towers, was the Black man and the Black woman. We, my dear sister, were two pillars of something so magnificent and so great. And systematically, they destroyed us in terms of our relationship one with another, in terms of our family, in terms of that cohesive, beautiful idea of a king and a queen being together. And even during our enslavement, we would still try to defy the slave master, and we would do what's called jumping the broom, getting married secretly or whatever. Sometimes the slave master would discover that we had done it, then he would rape our wife in front of us as men, or he would ship one of us off to another plantation, he'd break up the family. But we knew that this was sacred and that it was important for us to be together. And we did our best to try to stay together. But in the end, when you have a system that goes on for 400 years of destruction, believe me, it's a miracle that any of us today are actually married as Black people and attempting to build families. It's a miracle. It's actually a sign of our absolute genius that there are still some of us who are attempting to keep it together like this. One of the images shows you this Caucasian caveman dragging the woman by her hair with his club in his hand. I know you might not understand this, but did you know that Black people were never cave people? We never evolved from no cave, dear family. When they were in the caves of Europe, on their all fours, grunting like beasts, you and I were wearing silk and having underfloor heating in Egypt. And before Egypt, long before Egypt, by the way, Egypt, the pyramid period, that's when our civilizations was in a decline. That's when we were coming down from an even higher level of civilization. And so this idea now that we can just grab a woman, you know, like how we do it in the dance, brothers, just grab her to dance, grab her. You don't even ask. See, this is what we've learned under these people. This is the attitude, the misogyny towards our women. I deliberately put this image of the king and queen, the Black king and queen, because again, see, many of us today, we behave very misogynistic towards women, Black women in particular. But understand this. See, we were never misogynist in our history and our behavior and our recognition towards the Black woman. We live in a world where excitement is created with a woman prime minister or president, while in ancient times, the Queen of Sheba, we had the Queen of Sheba, we had Queen Anna Nzinga, we had Queen Ya Asantewa, we had Queen Nefertiti, Queen Nandi, Queen Amina, Queen Ikande of Kush. I mean, and we could go on. I mean, there was, and these were warrior queens. These are women who fought against men and created kingdoms and empires in the world of Africa and the Black world. You know, this is who we are. We never had a problem with women being leaders and powerful. The misogyny comes from Europe. This idea, you know, like now when we think about Islam, for instance, and the woman walking 10 paces behind the man, that's got nothing to do, you can't find nothing like that in the book of Islam, in the Holy Quran. That's a European thing. That comes directly from the hills and the cave sides of Europe. It's only when Europeans, white people, came into Islam, which is ancient and Black, it's only when they entered in, they brought all of their mentality from the days of the caves and the Vikings. Did you know where all of this hatred of the woman and the misogyny comes from? Do you know that the Caucasian, when he was in the hills and cave sides of Europe, when he would go out hunter-gathering, because that's what he was doing, foraging, trying to stay alive, the only creature that befriended him in those environments was the dog. Hence why right to this day, everybody's got to have a dog in the house. And they will tell you that the dog is a man's best friend. And when you spell dog backwards, it's God. Dog ain't no best friend of no Black person. God is the best friend of the Black man and the Black woman. But they turn it around and now the dog is their best friend. And they've got to, and that dog, remember, that dog can occupy their bed. It can sit at the dining table. They will kiss it on the lips. They will have it lick their face, even though that dog has just been out sniffing around the backside of another dog, or putting its face in the urine of another dog, or the feces of another dog. That's how they treat the dog, because the dog was the only creature that befriended them in the hills and cave sides of Europe. And then when they went out hunter-gathering, the dog that would be left behind to guard the cave with the woman sometimes would have sexual relations with the dog. And this is where the hatred of the woman comes from. It's a European hatred, where she then was treated as a temptress. They couldn't trust her because she literally copulated with the dog. And by the way, the disease called syphilis, that's originally a canine disease. And it jumped species because of this relationship that the Caucasian white woman would have with the dog. And they still, by the way, to this day many of them have these types of relationships with their dogs behind closed doors. This is real. You can take it or leave it. I'm not emotional about it. I'm just giving you some actual facts. And then the reality is that the white man, he became very untrusting of his woman. Hence why, for instance, with the Vikings and these white men, when they would go out pillaging and killing and conquering in Scandinavia and all around Europe or whatever, they literally would put a metal girdle on the woman called a chastity belt with a lock and key, because they didn't trust her. It was when they came into Islam that they began covering the woman from head to toe to hide her away, because she is regarded as a temptress. It was they who interpreted the Bible in the way to say that Eve was the one who tempted Adam to eat the apple. They inserted that and blamed the woman. I mean, we could go on, dear family, but suffice to say that we never had a problem or an issue with our woman walking side by side next to the black man. We were always a team. We were always together. We were always those twin pillars, those twin towers, towering above this planet and towering in the universe, until we were brought low by our open enemy, who destroyed us as a human family, destroyed us as a couple, destroyed us as a nation. And it was permitted by God for a purpose. But that time of his rule and our destruction is now over. And it is now time to regain our sciences in order to rebuild ourselves back to where we were before, back to the manifestation of our true character and our true nature. This is really, really important, dear beloved family. I hope everybody is good. I hope everybody is all right. At this time, we're gonna take another look at some of our sponsors before we close out for the evening. Don't forget, Nature's Hair Products. Visit www.natureshairproducts.co.uk and try the beard oil, specially formulated hair butters, and so much more from Nature's Hair Products. Check it out, dear beloved family. Don't forget, WYLA for boys and girls age 8 to 16, producing our future leaders. We've got to be focused on our young people. We've got to be focused on the youth. If we're not, this is just an exercise in vanity, and this is the end of our generations as a people. We must be building platforms for our young people to be able to launch themselves into a great and glorious future. Visit www.wylauk.com and sign your young child up to be a part of becoming a future leader. Visit us at Sorrel 2020 and check out JJ Sorrel products and try some of the beautiful and varied sorrel products that's been produced for your consumption. Don't forget, brothers and sisters, visit our YouTube channel, the Nation of Islam London Study Group New, and like, share, and subscribe. And also, don't forget to click the donation button to help us to continue what we are doing. Dear beloved brothers and sisters, what I'm about to share with you is taken directly from the courtship manual of the Nation of Islam. And it says, in all of the three monotheistic religions which claim Abraham as a father, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, the institution of marriage is considered sacred because according to the scripture, it is instituted by Allah God. Anything originated or instituted by Allah God must be considered by us as divine or sacred and must be respected accordingly. This is really, really important because, again, you know, it seems to me that there are some things that we think are sacred and divine, but I don't know if we really understand that the relationship between a man and a woman is such, and that that's how we should treat that relationship. If we had a much more healthy approach to our male-female relationships, we would have much more healthy relationships, much more healthy families, much more healthy and productive communities, and ultimately our nation. This is the logic of doing these things in this mathematical, systematic, and scientific manner. Dear family, every male and female, when they reach the age of puberty or adolescence, may have a physical desire to experiment with sex. However, they may not yet have matured into the knowledge of what work they are to do in life that fits into Allah God's plan for them. Consequently, the male may not know what female is fit for him as a helper in the work of Allah God. Unfortunately, we allow the nature of attraction and our natural desires for the opposite sex to be the basis for choosing our mates. In doing this, you know, you listen to the language, oh, she's fit. I mean, you see, everything is about how the other person looks, but it's really got nothing to do with who that person really is, as opposed to how they look. Because somebody can look good, man, but it don't mean that they are the person for you. But unfortunately, this is where we are at in this present time. Unfortunately, we allow the nature of attraction and our natural desires for the opposite sex to be the basis for choosing our mates. In doing this, we have violated the very principle upon which marriage should be based. The predicate for marriage has to be a mature knowledge of self and what the self requires as a helper or mate to fulfill a divine obligation. My goodness. I wish we had time to really just plumb the depths of some of this stuff, but suffice to say this, dear family, we need somebody who is there to help us. We need somebody who we actually desire to be around, who could be our best friend. Do you know how important it is in a relationship to be best friends with that person, somebody that you genuinely want to share and spend all of the rest of your life with? And this is not something that can be done on a whim or on the basis of how somebody looks. Did you know that that good-looking brother or that good-looking sister will very soon become ugly in your eye when it turns out that they actually cannot help you and have no desire of helping you to reach your goal, that which God has put in your heart and in your mind that you must fulfill as an individual? Did you know that every single one of us have a mission in life that we should be fulfilling? And that many of us have had our dreams dashed and our aim and direction diverted or curtailed because we've made the wrong choice in mate or partner. I mean, man, you know, when you really know that what you're supposed to be doing in life, and then the person that is supposed to be walking next to you and being an inspiration to you and being a helpmeet to you is absolutely the person who is just destroying all of your hopes and dreams. Brothers and sisters, I really hope that we are thinking about these things, because, you know, we can't go as deep as we would like to, but we just want to, with these subject matters, I just want to just touch it like that so that you can really have an appreciation of just how involved. And by the way, I say it like this to you. You need to join the Nation of Islam. You need to become one of the soldiers, male or female. You need to become a part of this community. You need to become a part of the nation. Because when you do that, you're putting yourself in the position where you will be able to select and find your right mate as a man and as a woman. Because we have a community where the brothers and sisters are training every day to make ourselves better, to make ourselves who we were born to be. Our mantra in the Nation of Islam, that which Master Farad Muhammad gave us and left with us, he said, accept your own and be yourself. And you should join the nation, where within the nation we have teaching, which is designed to bring you closer and closer to the true understanding of your nature, not for you to understand my nature, but for you to understand your nature, your own self-determination, your mission in life, your skills and your qualities and your character, that you bring those out to the fore and then make you so attractive, one to yourself and to God and to any potential mate. And you will be able to make a good choice, because you won't be making a choice based on emotion, but you'll be making a choice based on science. In the Nation of Islam, we have message to the black man. It's important. I'm just going to show you just a few of the things that we have. We have manuals. I can't really show you this. This is private, but we have manuals specifically designed to teach men how to be men. FOI training. We have manuals specifically designed to teach women, the sisters, how to be sisters. We have laws that we are to understand the laws and why we are to be in obedience with the law, because being in obedience with those laws bring us success. The restrictive laws that we're given in the Nation of Islam is our success. At any time, you need to come into your nation. We have within the nation study guides designed by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan to bring out of us the reality of us and to make us to be a powerful people, standing on a foundation that cannot be shaken and cannot be rocked by a world like this. As it goes out, our world has to come in, but we can't come in on the basis of emotion and on the basis of desire alone. We have to come in on a scientific, mathematical basis, because we have filled ourselves up with knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, qualifying ourselves to be the future rulers of our planet. I hope you have been able to follow with us this evening, dear family, what we have attempted to share with you. And I hope that something that was said this evening has been of benefit to you, and that it's ignited within you a desire to know more. And I say contact us via the Nation of Islam London Study Group website. Let us know your desire to be a part of the community, and let us take it from there. There is a whole process of how you come in and how ultimately this will allow you to grow into that man and that woman that we were born to be. But based on a world of accident, based on a world of guesswork, we are not where we are supposed to be, but we can get there, man. It's not that difficult. The Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad said that we can accomplish these things with very little study. It's not like we have to be, scholars, in the sense of doing a PhD type of study. Not that that's really difficult in truth, because that's some lightweight stuff. But what I'm saying is that what you want to discover is the true nature of you, the true nature of God, the true nature of Satan. And when you have this type of comprehensive knowledge, man, it makes you powerful. It makes you awesome. So, beloved family, I thank you for allowing me once again this opportunity to share with you. We're going to go over to Sister Claudia before we close out.
So just to say thank you once again, family, for tuning in. Again, we really appreciate it. Thank you for our family in Cardiff. Thank you for our family in Georgia, True Religion. Thank you. Mr. P, thank you. General Louverture, DC Precise, Sister Viola, Brother Alvin, thank you very much all for your support. And I think you may know this person, Ricky McKay.
Oh, Brother Ricky.
Yes, so he's on.
Okay, that's beautiful, man. Good to know you're there, my dear brother. I won't say your name, the name that we all knew you by when we were growing up. This is the brother who went to school with me.
I know, he said that.
Very few people went to school with me because I hardly went to school, but this is one of those blasts from the past who knew me as a schoolboy. So it's wonderful to hear that you're on, Brother Ricky. I look forward to touching base with you very, very soon, my dear brother.
Yes, thank you to Brother David Muhammad, General Louverture.
Big Dave.
Yeah.
Big Dave Muhammad.
The God in Me, New York City, and Rayshon from KKK Land, Texas.
Rayshon. Okay.
No, Rayshon.
Rayshon, okay.
Yes.
From the Ku Klux Klan land in North America.
Yes, Texas.
Praise God.
Thank you, everyone.
Texas. Okay. Thank you so much, dear beloved family. May Allah bless you as I greet you, as I found you in the greeting words of peace. Assalamu alaikum.